Hello and welcome to this webinar on Velvit liquids. Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Jack Baxter and I'm going to take you through these. We've got a couple of presentations today, starting off with Velvit all-in-one liquids and then moving on to Velvit's essentials and NMAXX products. As always, my colleagues are my colleague will be in the chat, so if you have any questions at all, then please ask away and we'll do our best to answer you. Maybe if you're watching this later on, after it's been recorded, then please still send us questions and we can still get back to you and answer those. So let's get to it. So first up, we have the Velvit. What is an all-in-one liquid and when do you need it? I'm going to have a look at the Velvit all-in-one liquids that we have in the Velvit range and where you might use them. Just covering off again, I'm Jack Baxter. I've been a member of the sales team at Greenbest for about 7 years at this point. Generally sports and amenity turf focused, lawn care, sports turf, UK and a little bit international as well. So all-in-one liquids. This is what we're going to have a look at today. What is an all-in-one liquid? And then we're going to go through the Velvit all-in-ones, Total Event, First and Last, Snappy Green and Trace E. First up, what is an all-in-one liquid? So all-in-one liquids are products which combine multiple beneficial inputs. This is designed to be a single liquid application. And the reason being is to get an ease of application, makes it easy. You don't need to mix different things together. It's all there in one liquid. And then you can apply it straightforward, generally pre-event, but it might be for top-ups as well. So they have multiple things in there. Not necessarily everything that you might need in a nutrient plan, so they will be focused. We'll have a look at that in a second. So they're better used as part of an overall plan rather than replacing other parts. Usually they're more than just an NPK. So NPK fertilizers in the Velvit range are Velvit Essential, NMAXX, and some others. We'll have a look at those in a little bit. But usually all-in-ones include something extra. So there'll be a bit of nutrient and there'll potentially be trace elements, some amino acids, fulvic, humic acids, wetting agent, biostimulants, potentially other things as well. So an all-in-one is that sort of something which is easy to mix. There's no mixing required. It's got a bit of everything you might need just to give top-ups. So these are the 4 liquids which we've got in the Velvit all-in-one range. Total Event, First and Last, Snappy Green and Trace E. First up, Total Event. So Total Event is a main season input. It's designed generally as a top-up application, could be used pre-event depending on what you need. The analysis is a 1406, 0.5% magnesium and 0.5% chelated iron. So obviously that gives you a bit of a boost of nitrogen as well as a little bit of magnesium and iron to help with green up and turf darkening. There is also seaweed extract, trace elements, fulvic acids, and wetting agents in there as well. So it will give you a good response. And therefore, you could use it as a top-up application when your turf's looking a bit sad, looking a bit down. You can go and put a bit of Total Event on to get you looking good again. Or you could use it as that pre-event input where you've got something big happening. You've got lots of people coming down. You want a pitch to look good or you need your greens to look good. You go and put a bit of Total Event on and it will help boost that, get a nice green colour, healthy-looking grass. The application rate is 40 to 100 litres per hectare. So it's quite wide, and that is to help, if you're going to use it as just that green up area, you'd be down at the 40 litres per hectare. For maybe using it as one of your standard inputs, then you can go a bit higher. So it's quite wide to be flexible and help with that. The application period, as you can see, so it's a main season event, is between March, main season product even, is between March and September. And therefore, you can use it any time. You recommend to use it any point during that time to help with growth. That's why it's got the nitrogen content it's got to help with growth, help with green up and boost the colour. So have a look at First and Last. So First and Last is it's kind of the opposite. It's an autumn-winter input. So you'd use this again events during the winter. If you need things to look good for the event, then you can pop an application of First and Last liquid down. You could also use it to maintain quality throughout the winter. So a regular input potentially just to help the grass keep ticking over, keep looking good during those winter months. The analysis of first and last is a 2.508 with 1% iron, chelated iron as well. So much lower nitrogen. Obviously, during this time, you don't necessarily want to be pushing growth, but you do want it to green up. You do want it to be looking good. So there's also seaweed extracts, trace elements, fulvic acid, and wetting agent in there as well. First and last is a product that we've been manufacturing for a long, long time. It's one of our star products, and therefore that's why it made it into the Velvit range. So, and the name comes from it being potentially your first application, your last application in the year. That's what it's used for, is that autumn-winter period. You've got the application rate there of 40 to 100 litres per hectare. Again, if you're looking at something pre-event, you're probably down at 40 litres. And then if you're looking for a more nutrient input based on your nutrient plan, you can go up to 100. It's again designed to be flexible to fit into nutrient plans and what people need to use it for. The application period, as you can see there, is from August to February, so covering that autumn-winter period. Obviously, it depends on weather and conditions about when you might want to switch from total event to first and last or start using something else. So, again, flexible there, but main reason this product's there is to fit into that autumn-winter period. Moving on, we have Snappy Green. So Snappy Green is designed to do what it says on the tin. It's a rapid green up product, mainly designed for pre-event. So if you've got something happening at the weekend, you need to look green really quickly, use this. It was originally designed for a lawn care company where they wanted to be able to go and apply a liquid and in the daytime, and then by the time their customers got home, they'd be able to see a response in the evening. So that rapid green up effect is everything in this product is designed to go towards that. Obviously, whether that happens that quickly depends on a lot of other things, but that is the thought process behind why we put these things together. Majority of the nitrogen in Snappy Green is from nitrate nitrogen, so it can be taken up by the plant and can be used quickly to help boost that colour, boost that growth. So the analysis is a 402.6 with 4% magnesium and 1% chelated iron. So that 4, obviously, it's not particularly high nitrogen, but it's mainly nitrate nitrogen, so it's very rapid to be taken up. That's where the potassium comes from, so we're using potassium nitrate and magnesium nitrate to really boost that, as well as chelated iron to help give the darkening as well. Obviously, the magnesium will help with green up. There's also a bit of onyx in there, which has amino acids, so it will help with stress relief and boosting colour and health of the plant and the soil biology as well as some wetting agent to help those nutrients be taken up in it for it to be distributed evenly as well. So it's a bit of a concoction, but as I say, everything in there is designed to make it green up quickly when you need it to. The application rate reflects that, so it's 20 to 40 litres per hectare, so it's much lower than the previous two. And that's because you're just looking for green up. You're not really going to use this for nutrient input. You're going to use that green up, keep it at a low application rate, and hopefully see good results. And that's reflecting the application period as well, where you can use it generally throughout the year, anytime, looking to hit those events that you'd really need that grass to look good for. So now we have Trace E. This one is slightly different because it's just a trace element package. It doesn't include anything else such as seaweeds or any macronutrients. So it's mainly focused on the trace elements. It's a comprehensive package, so it's not targeting one trace element. It's got a number of ones that you would need, which may be deficient in the plant or the soil. So it's sort of that use where you could put it, mix it with some potentially other NPK inputs such as the Velvit Essential range or NMAXX range. Pop a bit of trace element in there as well, just to make sure you've got the grass got everything it needs, because grass does require all these micronutrients as well. So majority of these are chelated. Some of them are not, but majority of them are chelated nutrients. And it is really to focus on a sort of overarching coverage of trace element input. Again, the application rate is 20 to 40 litres per hectare, so keeping it low because it's a very targeted input. Just one last comparison of all those products, and maybe easier to screenshot this and have a look at it. you've got the total event first and last, which are general all-in-one liquids for top-up applications, potentially pre-event. Obviously, total event is for spring, summer, first and last for the autumn, winter period. Those two sort of you'd use in conjunction throughout the year. And then you have the things such as Snappy Green, which is pre-event, really focused on getting quick green up, and then trace element in the end, which is a boost of trace elements, and you would generally combine it with other inputs as well. So that is the all-in-one liquids. So just a word on our website, you can go find distributors there. There's lots of useful information about the products, about other products in the NMAXX range. Sorry, excuse me, in the Velvit range. All the distributors are up there. There's an interactive map of the UK and international distributors. So if you're looking for products, then easy to find where to buy them from, as well as product guides and just generally more information. You may already be aware of the Green Best Academy. You may be watching this video on the Green Best Academy. The Green Best Academy is an area where we upload all of our webinars, and then there are some specialised courses as well. So some of it's focused on lawn care, some of it's focused on sports turf, some of it's horticulture. It's a bit of a mix of everything. The courses are more in depth and have a lot, slightly different format. So head on over to the Green Best Academy, have a look at some other stuff on there. The great thing is also some of the courses are now, you can get basis CPD points. So you can use those to top up your points for next year. So go and have a look at that. And that is the end of the all-in-one slides. Thank you very much. So now we're going to move on to the extended longevity presentation, which includes Velvit Essential and Velvit NMAXX liquids. So let's have a look at those. Here we go. So the second one is why use extended longevity liquids. We're having a look at the Velvit liquid fertilizers, where you might use them in their different longevities. Again, I'm Jack Baxter. I've been with Green Best for about 7 years at this point. Member of the sales team, mainly focusing on sport and amenity turf in the UK, a little bit of Europe, and some other specializations as well. So what we're going to talk about in this presentation, we have liquid longevity, and we have a look at the Velvit Essential liquids shortly, and then look at stabilised nitrogen, what that means and how it works. Moving on to the NMAXX stabilised N, what that is specifically, and then the NMAXX liquids. So first up, liquid longevity. So a standard liquid only has longevity of about 1 to 2 weeks. It's not very long, especially in comparison to granulars, which is about 5 to 6 weeks. Liquids generally are about only 1 to 2. Reason being they are already in solution, so the liquids are, the nutrients are easily taken up or washed away or moved on. They're also generally a low input nutrient input when you have to apply the product to the area. It generally becomes lower input than, say, a granular. So there's less nutrient to begin with, and therefore the longevity is generally reduced. This might be useful, or is very useful actually, for high input areas where there is somebody on site every single day and they can look at it and they can have a plan and they know that they can be there to put stuff down. So golf greens, bowling greens, premier sports pitches, where there's going to be somebody there, they know they're going to need an input. Liquids are perfect because it's easily controllable. They can put down what they need when they need it. Also horticulture as well, where they might need to cover a really large area for growing plants, growing flowers. Really large area, you might just use liquids in your irrigation system because it's much more simple than applying a granular to every pot. And this is the Velvit Essential liquids, which we'll have a look at now. So Velvit Essential liquids, they only have a 1 to 2 week longevity. So they are generally sort of top-up feeds, foliar applications. It's there's a bit of everything in there to help get what you need out of the turf. The application rate is about 40 to 100 litres per hectare. Quite a wide application rate to fit into different nutrient plans. Obviously, you should base your inputs and the products you use and the application rates off your nutrient plan rather than say, I can apply this at 100, so I will. You should look at what you actually need to apply and then just fit products into that. We have a number of products in the Velvit Essential range. We'll just go through them now. a high N with a 2400, a high K 3020, bit of a balanced autumn winter 4412 type product. And then we have a couple of potassium focused 0016 and 0028 products. Balanced NK is 12012, and then a high N with a bit of P and K as well, 1944. A 1628, which would be a generally summer type product with a not quite a 3:1:2 ratio, but trying to get that way. And then a 20010, which is again very classic spring summer product with a high N and a bit of K as well. So there's a number of products there that are designed to be flexible to fit into programs. If you just need a bit of N, just need a bit of K, and these products are there, and you can mix and match and maybe combine them with some of the Tracy liquid or something else with some of the seaweeds, just to give a bit of coverage of everything you might need to input. There's not a high phosphorus product in the range because phosphorus is actually quite difficult to get into solution in high quantity, particularly when you're trying to put other things in there as well. So usually nitrogen and potassium are very good for liquids. Phosphorus is a little bit more difficult and generally doesn't need to be applied as much anyway. So let's have a look at stabilised nitrogen and what that means. So I've got the nitrogen cycle up there. We don't need to worry about it. There's not too much detail that we need to remember. We're just going to go through a couple of bits to really understand what stabilised nitrogen does and how it affects, how it increases our longevity. So stabilised nitrogen, or you might have heard it called inhibited nitrogen, puts breaks into this nitrogen cycle. So you've got inputs here of urea, potentially ammonium sulfate or nitrate products or organic fertilizers. Stabilised N will put things in place which will break down some of those processes and therefore extending the longevity of the use. There's a couple of different types. So the first one we're going to look at is a urease inhibitor, and this obviously breaks up the conversion of urea into ammonium sulfate using a urease enzyme. So urease is an enzyme which is released by plants and by soil biology, and what that does is it converts urea into ammonium. Plants can't actually take up urea on its own. It needs to be converted to ammonium first or through the roots. So the urease is there to do that. It will take the urea, break it down into ammonium, which can then be taken up by the plant or converted further. So urease enzyme does that action, does the action in the middle there. However, by applying a urease inhibitor, you're preventing that enzyme from working and therefore slowing down that conversion rate. And what that means is you have urea lasting in the soil for longer than it would usually and being converted over time to ammonium, which can then be taken up or converted further on. So it slows down that conversion of urea to ammonium and therefore extending the longevity. The urea, it can still be washed away. It can still be leached. It's not particularly high with urea. It's much higher at other points during the nitrogen cycle, but it will extend that longevity, extend the availability. And the plant does actually regulate how much urease it releases. So when it needs more nitrogen, it will release more urease, and therefore it will be able to convert more urea and take up more ammonium. So that's how one of the stabilised N products will work, urease inhibitor. The other type is a nitrification inhibitor. Obviously, you can see we've moved over slightly to the nitrate. So this is after the ammonium step. A nitrification inhibitor actually inhibits the actions of nitrifying bacteria. So in between, once you've got the ammonium in there, which could be either applied via ammonium sulfate or something else, or it's converted from urea, that is then further converted in the soil via nitrifying bacteria into nitrites and then nitrates. So a nitrification inhibitor inhibits the action of those bacteria and therefore slows down the conversion of ammonium to nitrate. Now, plants can take up ammonium, but they do have to convert it to be used inside in their cells, and plants can take up nitrate as well and use it directly. So by slowing down that process, you get more of an extended longevity as well. Obviously, this increases the amount of nitrogen which is available in the soil, and therefore the plant can take up. it slows down conversion and loss to leaching and volatilization as well. So yeah, it's important to use these products to increase your nutrient use efficiency. So we'll look at NMAXX specifically. NMAXX is a urease inhibitor. I'm not going to read that whole chemical name because it's a little bit long, but you can just remember it as NBPT. This is the urease inhibitor which we use in NMAXX. So NMAXX is urea with this NBPT inhibitor with it. So when that is applied, you get the NBPT in the soil, which can converted and then inhibits urease. So as we've gone over, that urease then the inhibition of urease slows down the conversion of urea to ammonium, reducing nitrogen loss. Nitrogen loss maybe by leaching, denitrification, or volatilization. But just by slowing down that process, you'll have more of the nitrogen will be available to the plant for the plant to take up. So over time, you will have that longevity extended up to 5 weeks. Depends on a lot of other factors, such as temperature, the soil biology and how active the soil is, as well as water availability and lots of things as well. So that's why it's up to 5 weeks. It's still not as accurate as, say, a controlled release or even a slow release granular. But by using the stabilised N, you do get extra time, extra longevity out of it. So these are the NMAXX liquids which we have in the Velvit range. Just a brief overview. You've got a 15012, a 6212, and a 2400. All contain high amounts of NMAXX, nitrogen, with the remainder coming from elsewhere. So a few different products, mainly main season products, sort of spring, summer. There might be some uses elsewhere, but the 6212 you might be able to use over the autumn. Depends on conditions, depends on weather, and what you're seeing on the ground. So those are the 3 products that we have in the range. So last, we've got a bit of a comparison. Obviously, the liquids, Velvit Essential, are all standard longevities, 1 to 2 weeks that you probably see on response on the turf. Good for low nutrient inputs, little and often. Places where there's going to be someone there all the time doing something every day. Really good for that. You've got the NMAXX slow-release liquids, which use the urease inhibitor. So this extends the longevity up to 5 weeks. You're going to get more efficient nutrient usage out of these products because the plant is going to be able to use more of the nitrogen than if it was just converted through that process and lost through the nitrogen cycle and lost elsewhere. So the plant is going to be able to use more of it. You're going to get more regulated growth, more even colour, all of those things. Obviously, it's good for high value areas because you have more attention, so you can still use these products and you control the nutrient input. You know you're going to get that period of time where it's going to green up and grow, and you can fit other things in there so it keeps a nice steady colour all the way through. Obviously, it's great for low value areas as well because you're going to have fewer applications just because you're going to need to apply it every month and a half rather than every other week. You also generally have reduced control of the nutrient inputs, so putting something down which is going to give you more time in between, give you more answers to making sure the grass stays green and looks good in between. That's where NMAXX comes in. Relates to reduced overall cost. So you might imagine, as it does, NMAXX costs slightly more per litre than a sort of standard Velvit Essential liquid. However, you're going to be doing fewer applications, which means you're going to be there less often. You're going to be doing the same thing less often, saving cost on that side, as well as having reduced volume input because you don't need to put so much in to get the results that you want. So a reduced volume, fewer applications, therefore the overall cost is generally reduced using an inhibited product. So again, if you need to find a distributor, then please have a look on our website, an interactive map with all of the UK and international distributors on there. Lots more product information on our website as well as getting hold of the Velvit product guide to have a look at. Lots more product information and application rates and everything that you need all should be there. And finally, the GreenBest Academy. Again, you might be watching this on the GreenBest Academy. You might already know what this is. But the GreenBest Academy is a great space where we have all of our courses, all of our webinars uploaded. There are webinars there. There are also previous webinars that we've recorded. There are also specific courses related to sports turf, lawn care. We've built an area where there's lots of information that we need to put out there, and this is where you can access it all. Some of it's for free, some of it's paid, but please go and have a look at that. The other benefit of the Greenvest Academy is some of these courses are now accredited with basis CPD points, so you can have that for your personal development as well, and put those points towards your target. And that's the end of that webinar. So thank you very much for joining me. As I've been Jack Baxter. This is Velvit presentation on Velvit liquids. I hope you all have a great day, and speak to you soon. If any questions at all, then please send them over and we will answer them as soon as possible. Thank you very much.